Hello everyone, welcome to the latest Roundtable DAO video. Today we're going to do a quick walkthrough of the Hubble protocol on Solana, which is a crypto loan platform. Now we've already published a Medium article on Hubble, which would be a good companion read to this video. We'll link to that in the description. I'm sure you already follow us on Medium, right? And if you don't, well, what are you waiting for? Today we're going to do a quick walkthrough the platform itself, which is an app that you launch from their website. So the idea here is that the Hubble protocol allows you to take out a crypto loan using your crypto assets as collateral. The protocol allows you to mint what they are calling USDH, which is a new stablecoin created by the protocol and stands for USD Hubble and will be usable on the Solana network. So with other loan platforms, you're going to find yourself paying interest, having a set due date for paying back your loan, pretty standard stuff. But with Hubble, instead of paying interest on the amount you've loaned and having a payback date, you borrow at 0% interest and have no payback date. You have a one-time fee at the time of the minting, and that's it. This is unique in the crypto loan realm and a big part of why we find this project interesting and want to show you more about it. So I think you'll like this. And let's find it right here and let's dive in. Okay, so this is the main section of the app we just launched. You can see it's a good, clean looking interface here. You need to connect your wallet in order to use the protocol. So hit this. I'm going to choose Phantom because that's what I use. I'm going to enter my password off screen and hit connect. Okay, there we go. So you have to provide collateral first in order to borrow the USDH. You have several assets you can use as collateral. So in my wallet, you can see that I have Solana and some wrapped BTC. There it is right there. A couple other things. And the Hubble accepts 7 assets for collateral right now. They plan to add more for the future. And we're going to use BTC, but we'll get back to that in a second. Let's look at this section of the borrow page and get right to the heart of it. So we'll be depositing a crypto collateral right there, and this will allow us to borrow a certain amount of USDH, and in order to do that you need to pay a one-time fee, which is 0.5% of the amount that you borrowed. So imagine I think Bitcoin's on its way up and I don't want to sell it, but I still want some liquidity. So I can deposit my wrapped Bitcoin into the Hubble protocol. I own 0.013 wrapped Bitcoin, which is, how much is that in USD? If I hit max here, it's about $539. You can see that right there. So if I deposit that entire amount of my wrapped Bitcoin, I can then borrow USDH, use this slider over here, $466.25 is what I can borrow. You can see this is the amount I have that the protocol allows me to borrow, and I'll pay this fee of $2.33, which is 0.5% of that 466. Now let's check our borrowing info. So if we're borrowing this amount here and paying this fee here, we now have a total debt of those two figures added up, or $468.58. This is important because it'll allow us to know our loan-to-value percentage. Okay, but what is that? Well, in every crypto loan protocol, you have what is called a liquidation ratio. So if the price of Bitcoin or whatever collateral asset you're using drops below a certain threshold, then the protocol will automatically sell your collateral in order to repay your debt. This is adjustable, however, and we'll talk about that in a minute. In this case, if we have a drop of about 5% in the price of BTC and it reaches this price here, then the protocol will sell my Bitcoin, my 0.013 that I put in as collateral. Now, of course, I will get to keep the USDH I borrowed, but I'll lose the Bitcoin, as the price change has changed the value of the loan collateral. This is reflected down here in the loan to value percentage, which is right here. You can see currently it is red. And here is how it's calculated. It's the debt amount divided by the collateral value. I'm sure you can see how this is always in flux, and it changes when the denominator changes, which is when the value of your collateral changes. So now at this point, you have a fairly impactful choice to make. You can take a risk, betting that this price will never go below 39 again. Go to bed, hope for the best. Or like me, you decide to take less risk. What you do is borrow less USDH, so you'll decrease that percentage. So watch when I go to move the slider down and borrow less USDH, you can see both these figures decreasing. This and the price of BTC there for the liquidation price. Let's imagine that I think BTC will never get back below 25K, so I'm going to go around there. As I move the slider down, you see the amount I'm borrowing goes down, along with the loan to value and the BTC liquidation price. The color changes also. Red's the most risk, yellow's in the middle, and green is the safest. Now I have a green colored loan to value percentage, so I'm taking a much lower risk to be liquidated, and of course I borrow less USDH. See that? And let's make this an even 300. You can highlight this and type in whatever you want. So you can see that my BTC liquidation price is now very low compared to the price today, which is about 41K. Bitcoin would have to drop significantly. It says here almost 39% in order for my collateral to be liquidated. And you can also see that the fee has gone down because we're borrowing less USDH. So let's settle in here and say this is what we want in the loan. So we hit the borrow button. I have to approve the transaction in my wallet, so it'll take a few seconds. Recording live to tape here, folks. I'm expecting a new pop-up window here any second, and there it is. I think you could actually approve here at any point, but with all things crypto and in life, I guess, I like to have a redundant check of the figures, so I'm going to wait for this to populate here. Should be any second. And there it is. Okay, looks good. I'm going to approve. So, with that, Hubble will send us to a new screen. And this here is the dashboard where we can see the metrics of our loans. Now, this here is the total amount borrowed, 301.50. This is the collateral deposit. And over here we have the system loan to value percentage, which is an important metric for liquidation ratios that I'll detail here maybe a bit later. So down here is a table where you have one line per crypto asset collateral you have deposited in the Hubble protocol. In our example, we only have one line because we just deposited wrapped BTC. So you can see the amount of your USDH debt here and the value of your collateral here. This moves with Bitcoin price in real time. The net value of your collateral minus your debt in this column here, over here, with 0% for the moment, is very interesting. It's an APY percentage. That's not something you're probably expecting to see on a loan dashboard, right? So what's that doing there, you might ask? Well, Hubble Protocol has partnerships with several APY earning protocols on Solana. And if you agree to do so, you can allow Hubble to deposit your Bitcoin into those partner protocols and earn APY. So for example, you can elect to have Hubble send your BTC to one of those APY earning partners and start earning money back on your loan immediately. This is a very interesting feature of Hubble protocol. It's kind of a self-repaying loan. How cool is that? Okay, so over here is the loan to value percentage. We can see that we're in the green, and this is very low compared to the 91 limit. And the last section allows you to manage your loan. So what can we do there? We can deposit collateral, and this is pretty much the same interface as what we had before in the previous section for this function. You can see here the different assets in your wallet and the whole deal, just like it was before. And we already did that. So we can also withdraw our collateral over here. This is the amount of Bitcoin I deposited. So what if I chose to withdraw a small amount? You can see here the dollar value amount that I would withdraw, and then it recalculates the loan to value percentage, which would be higher because I would have less collateral deposited, of course. Now over here we can borrow more USDH. Because the amount of collateral I have allows me to borrow a bit more USDH, and you can see that, of course, in this case the loan to value percentage increases the more USDH I borrow, and like that. Last but not least, you have the repay section. So this is where you repay back your loan. You put in an amount of USDH, and you can do that there, and the more USDH you pay back, the more your loan to value percentage decreases. And that's about it for this section. So let's just take a moment here to say that bringing this content to you is only possible through your support. It doesn't take much. A simple like and subscribe goes a long way and is greatly appreciated. Okay, so now we have USDH sitting in our wallet. What can we do with it? Well, within the platform we can navigate to the stability pool page. And there it is. Here we see that we can use our newly minted USDH to help guarantee the stability of the protocol. How does that work? Well, you remember that when someone gets liquidated, the protocol sells their collateral asset into USDH and repays the debt. But in order to do that, you have to have a liquidity pool of USDH. So Hubble protocol has its own pool of USDH, some of which will be used to buy back the collateral of the users being liquidated. It's basically an in-house pool of USDH. It's pretty clever, actually, when you think about it. They need USDH on hand for this purpose and could source it elsewhere, but why not do it themselves and incentivize it? So what they do is they offer the users of the protocol the option to put their USDH into a stability pool, and this USDH will be on hand if they need it to buy liquidated assets. So let's try this out and see how it works. It's the first time I'm doing it in this wallet, so first I will have to approve it. Let's see right there, putting the password in. And I like to let this populate. Very good, approving. This takes a second. Anyone know any good loan protocol jokes? Yeah, me neither. Alright, there it is. Very good. Okay, so let's deposit some. That brings up another slider. I have 300 USDH here, but for the purposes of this, let's go with 150. Let's do half. Press this here. Brings up another approval. Alright, so this time I made an edit. And now you can see up here, after we're approved, that I have a balance of the $150. It's showing up right there. We'll do one more time edit, and you'll see I now have a balance of HBB. That's down here. You might be wondering what that is. Well, HBB is the native token of Hubble. It's used as a reward for participating in the stability pool, and you can stake it, and in the future it will be used for governance. So over time you accumulate it here, and that's where it shows up. Okay, so let's look at the different columns up here, and we'll talk about that for a second. USDH deposit, we just covered. It's the amount of USDH I deposited. The pool percentage, it's the percentage of the pool I own, so it's showing as 0% because my deposit is very small compared to the total USDH right now in the pool, but it's positive still. It just shows as 0 because it's tiny, for example. Total rewards, this is the main metric and an interesting one, but I'm going to leave that one for now, and I'll go into detail a bit later. HBB rewards, that's what I'm earning right now in HBB. Showing as 0, but similar as before, it's just because this number is really small. It's a positive, but it's just not showing. APY is pretty simple. It is just the APY of the entire pool. So now, I said I'd get back to it. What are total rewards? Okay, how does the protocol work? Let's do a short review. If users have deposited collateral in the form of SOL, ETH, BTC, FTT, etc., if they get liquidated, their asset is sold for USDH. USDH deposited into this pool. All right? So let's say Solana is being liquidated. The SOL, the pool now owns, will be shared between all providers, all depositors of the pool, prorated for their percentage of the pool. So let's say I've deposited, well, a lot more than that, and I own 1% of the pool. I will then earn 1% of the SOL that we just effectively bought together as a pool. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. So what's the interesting part? Well, if you remember, the liquidation ratio was about 90%. That means we're buying the collateral assets that are being liquidated with a discount of about 10% of their value at that moment. When an asset is liquidated, it's because the value on the market is going down and it's getting close to the amount of USDH borrowed by the depositor. So let's say SOL was $100 when I deposited 1 SOL as a collateral and I borrowed $90. Now, if SOL goes down in price and gets just a bit below 100, I'll be liquidated immediately because I'm at the ratio. So when this happens, the pool will pay USDH. But we, as a pool, will pay $90 in USDH, and we'll share that 1 SOL that has a value of about $100. We lose 90 USDH, but as a pool, we gain 1 SOL. I'm sure you can see where this is going at this point. We can take those liquidated assets that we earned, turn right around and sell them on the market, making the $10 difference in the process, like a form of arbitrage. So your USDH will go down a bit, but you'll gain more value in a liquidated asset. So, in order to see the balances increase here in the liquidation rewards, we just have to wait for borrowers to be liquidated, and, well, this happens over time. You can see up here the liquidation rewards that have been shared between the depositors of the pool. When people are liquidated and their collateral assets are sold, the balance here increases. The value of the rewards is over here on the right in this column. And the sum of these plus the HBB rewards is written up here in the total rewards part. So what you do is you click this harvest button up here when these numbers down here become positive, right? You get these assets deposited directly in your wallet. You're free to hold them or sell them on the market, whatever you want. But if you remember, your USDH deposit balance will go down as you accumulate these rewards, right? This goes up, and then this goes down, okay? So if you want to keep playing this game, you can sell your liquidation rewards for USDH and deposit that sum, which will be more than you lost if you decided to take advantage of that arbitrage, right? So then your share of the pool will increase also if you're doing this tactic. Or you could redeposit that amount you lost exactly, keep the same share percentage while pocketing the rest, or what have you. There are several plays here. I suppose you could also keep the liquidated assets you got at a discounted price if you thought they were going to make a run up at some point. Whatever you want to do, really. So there's a lot going on here, right? I know it takes a minute to kind of wrap your head around it, and it did for me as well. But this is kind of the core page of the protocol, in my opinion. But let's move on. Let's move on from the stability pool and let's take a look at the stake page, shall we? So, what can you do with the HBB you're getting from providing USDH to the stability pool? Well, it says right here, you can stake it. And this allows you to earn rewards. It also says that right here. They're doing my job for me here. Where do the rewards come from? Well, they come from the fees that are paid by people taking loans. You remember back in that page, the loans had a 0.5% fee. They're paid in USDH, and a share of these fees go to the HBB stakers. You can see it right there. Okay, so up here you see the metrics. There's the total HBB staked. There's the total protocol revenue. Share between the stakers. It's quite straightforward. You just have to approve it in your wallet. Just press the button, enter your password, wait for the second screen, hit approve, edit for time if you're making a video, and there it is. So hit the deposit button, up pops another slider. I will go the full amount, hit stake, and you have to approve again. And there it is. So this rest of it is pretty straightforward on here. You have the amount staked, the dollar value here, the pool percentage that I have, the pending gains over here, which would be paid out in USDH. And you can stake less here, stake more there, plus and minus. Pretty straightforward. So what's next? Well, let's look at the stats page. So the stats page is pretty straightforward. It's exactly what you think it would be. A bunch of statistics here, many of which have gone over before. The deposited collateral, total value locked, HBB stake, stability provided, etc., etc. Down here is the system health, and this is a little bit too heady, I think, for a walkthrough. We're not going to go into this here, but perhaps we have some written materials coming up, and we'll link to them in the comments or the description or what that. It's interesting stuff, but it's just a little lengthy for the purposes of our walkthrough here today. Last but not least, we have the Liquidate page. This is interesting to check out because it shows you the mechanics behind the liquidations. You can examine the loans, see what they used for collateral, how much debt they have, their address, their collateral amount, their loan to value percentage, and the liquidation ratio. So the idea being is if the loan to value percentage equals the liquidation ratio, then you can manually trigger a liquidation and get a small bonus for doing so, and the rest is distributed to the pool as usual. Now, in practical terms, what's going to happen here is this is going to be triggered by bots. You're not going to be able to do it as a human. But they recognize that as well, and Hubble is actually going to release an open source bot that can do this. But if nothing else, it's cool to just check out what's going on here. It's all how close they are. People have the good loans, people have the bad loans. It's all right here. Personally, I find it pretty interesting to just check out what's going on in the protocol. And then it's all very upfront and straightforward. Well, we've reached the end of the Roundtable DAO walkthrough of the Hubble protocol. Hope you learned something. Please like and subscribe, engage with us in the comments, and see you on the next one.